Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. Now we're going to conclude the reviews of the major GoBot characters from the Challenge of the GoBots cartoons. Did we save the best for last? Somehow I doubt it. At any rate, here's the last Guardian major player from the series, Scooter. Scooter was available in 1984. He would be among the first GoBots released here. He would also be available in 1985 as a star of the TV show. And he would be discontinued in 1986 when the line was retired. Scooter is remembered, I shouldn't say fondly. He was remembered on the show as being the young, annoying, irritating character, next to the humans, of course. But it may come as a surprise to many of you who was the man behind Scooter's voice. It was none other than Frank Welker. Yes, Scooter was voiced by Megatron. What do you think of that? Let that sink in a moment. Okay, moment's up. Now let's take a look at Scooter's articulation, and he did have a fair amount of articulation for a GoBot. You could rock his head, kind of like it was nodding, so that he could look down a little bit. It's more for converting him. He does have a joint at the shoulder that allows his arm to rotate all the way around, and the arm can fold a whole 180 degrees. So you get quite a range of motion on his arms. Adjust the body a little bit, and he does have a joint at his hip, so he can do a full splits like this if you wish. And he can bend his leg at the knee. So, quite a bit of articulation for a toy of his size. And he doesn't stand much taller than one of the mini vehicle Transformers, and he's got considerably more articulation than them. I guess that's something in his favor. At any rate, let's go ahead and convert Scooter. Scooter comes apart easily at his body, so we'll just separate the two sections of his body. Alright, we'll start by converting the upper portion. You fold his chest piece up like so. You're going to rotate the arms so that the handles here will point behind him. Then you'll raise them upwards, and then connect it to the chest, to the gaps on his chest plate, like so. Try to get it flush, as far back as they'll both go. Then you'll take his head and fold it up, so it goes underneath the chest plate. It does hang loose, so it will not stay unless it's on solid ground like so. Then we'll get his legs back in here. Legs, you're just going to bend them up at the hips so they sit like so. Then you'll grab the red pieces where his feet are and push them down like so. And then reconnect them together. Like so. And there you have it. Scooter becomes a scooter. It's not a known model of scooter. That's the only real downside to this alternate mode, is that we know it is one. We're just not entirely sure what type of scooter he is. Of course, in the cartoon, he was more famous for his face being right up here where that sticker is instead, which I never understood. Never understood that growing up. As an adult, I still don't understand it. I still don't get it. Especially in many of the scenes where he would be communicating with another GoBot. They would, even in their alternate mode, they could still talk normally. So why did Scooter feel the need to have his face shown on the alternate mode? Never did understand that. Now, as far as rolling around on the table, it's okay. It's not really all that good. Predominantly due to the fact that after multiple plays, it doesn't take much to separate his body segments, so you kind of have to do it slow. It also doesn't help, he only has the one wheel up in the front. There's no back wheel per se, he just has these two bitty plastic wheels in the back, so that's a major disappointment overall in the toy itself. Alright, well, we don't have much to go on else for Scooter because he doesn't have any loose parts. But like with the video earlier on Cop Tour, we do have a bio that was originally intended to go with Scooter's toy, but for whatever reason, Tonka did not put out with it. It states, the youngest of the friendly GoBots, Scooter would love to scoot in and out of all the action, but he's usually left behind to spin his wheels and man the command center. Now, we know the youngest listing was taken and used for the cartoon, as they did make it apparent that Scooter was somewhat younger than Turbo and Leader 1. Now, as for spinning his wheels and being stuck at the command center, that probably would have been better for him in the long run, given how much of an annoying pain in the neck he was throughout the cartoon. However, I will give Hanna-Barbera some kudos for what they did with their creation for Scooter. They gave him the ability to project convincing holograms. So Scooter would either use them to disguise himself, often as other renegade GoBots, or to disguise areas around him so that renegades would fall into traps. Now, granted, it's not the most unique of function. It is certainly one that was played up for a better use. Unlike in a lot of cases, the holographic uses that Hasbro did for their Girls' Doll line, Gem, where a lot of the holograms they were using in reality were kind of dumb. Especially the more the writers had to come up with what they could change the characters or things around them to look like, they were starting to stretch it just a bit much. But then again, one has to consider these were two radically different programs, so some consideration has to be accounted for that. But I do think Scooter had it a little bit better for his usage of it. But getting down to my thoughts, what do I think of Scooter? Scooter fits in the middle tier, but just barely. So at first, like many of the haters, I was ready to throw him into the bottom tier. But a lot of that is solely based on how he was portrayed in the cartoon. And we can't let just that determine where we rank this toy. since the toy was out before the cartoon, so some consideration has to be given to what he is capable of. And a lot of what's keeping him out of the bottom tier is the fact that he does have considerably more articulation than many of his rival-sized Transformer counterparts. Of course, his alternate mode, it is unique. We will give it that, because there aren't too many scooters seen out there. Despite the fact that a few years ago, scooters did become quite popular on the market due to the high cost of gasoline, as scooters are known to have very efficient engines, and especially if you just use them for driving around town, they aren't too bad on getting the gas mileage going. So they do have that going for it, and it would mean that Scooter could easily hide amongst us, so long as he doesn't have his face showing on the front of the stupid thing. But the toy also gets some negative marks due to the fact of how the wheels are done on him. Why they didn't give him a back wheel and instead gave him two really small bitty wheels, I'll never know. I'll never understand that. It doesn't make him roll that well on this table, so that means he ain't gonna roll on carpet. Then again, we also make some shots at him for how he was done in the cartoon, but he does deserve a little credit for having something of an original ability, and he did put it to some decent use. So, maybe he's not as bad as we think, but then again, I think a lot of this is more thanks to Jar Jar of Star Wars fame. We're all quick to look for the Jar Jar character. And even though Scooter's got Jar Jar beat by 15 years, well, there it is. We'll just leave him at the middle tier and go from there. And that's my review of the Guardian GoBot Scooter. If you like the review, leave a thumbs up here on YouTube. Don't forget as well, hit that subscribe button down below and join up within our ranks. Don't forget to also hit the bell next to it so you'll be notified of new videos being posted. Please also consider sharing your thoughts about Scooter in the comments section down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.